What is going on, guys? Welcome to The Spot. Today will be our Survivor Series preview and predictions. We're going to do a quick recap of Takeover Wargames from last night. We were supposed to have Blue on with us today. He is an actual adult, unlike Alex and myself, so he couldn't be here, but we'll be sure to get him on at a better time for him. But I'm going to go ahead and let Alex do the Takeover recap real quick.
Yeah, bless Chris for actually being an adult and having things to do on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Unlike myself, who stayed up all night watching serial killer documentaries and shit. I've yet to be asleep, so shout out to Folgers Coffee for keeping me awake long enough to do this today.
Bless coffee. Bless coffee. But going into the NXT preview, it was a good show overall. Not really any matches that weren't enjoyable. So we started off with Lars Sullivan versus Cassius Ohno. It was a decent match. I mean, hard hitting. Really though, it was just another match to set up Lars as how big of a monster that he is. Which I do feel kind of bad that it had to be Cassius Ohno that got sacrificed to him. But at the same time, Cassius Ohno has just done nothing since they brought him back, and I feel like they just brought him back to be like, hey man, you're still fat, and we're still not going to push you.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, Cassius is probably the best choice they could have used because he's not doing anything, and he has not really done anything since he got re-signed by the WWE. So Cassius is the best choice to get squashed. Well, he didn't really get squashed, but he did the JOB.
Yeah, his only real big piece of offense is he got his twister kick in or whatever it's called, kind of near the end. But then after that, Lars took over, hit a jumping power slam, then finished with his freak blaster, I think is what it's called.
Freak of nature, I think.
Freak of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, which I do kind of like it. It's like a very, very, very painful Uranagi.
Yeah, and I'm a sucker for Uranagi, so at least Lars has that for me. He's not doing too much else for me, though. That's just my opinion. Though.
Which I will say, I think I'm a little bit bigger of a fan of Lars than you are. I kind of dig the whole Jekyll Hyde, crazy, smart, big dude thing. But
right.
I do see kind of a short shelf life for him. He's going to go the way of Vladimir Kozlov here in a little bit if he's not careful.
Yeah, could go down south real quick.
Exactly. Moving on to the next match, and what was probably, I think, you would agree, our match of the night: Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream.
Yep.
This match it's made. I thought about it again this morning and was kind of looking over a recap for it, and this might be my match of the year, at least for the WWE. The storyline build to this has just been excellent, and the in-ring storytelling that those two did was awesome. The way they set up the match was perfect. The first 5-10 minutes of technical going back and forth was a good intro, and then we moved into this sequence that saw Dream sit down in Aleister's cross-legged position across from Aleister, and then the camera pans to Dream, and then it pans back out, and Aleister has taken the position in that almost downward dog yoga pose that Velveteen Dream does.
The edge, like sliding entrance thing he used to do back in the day.
Yes. And Aleister moved into that, and Dream's facials through this whole match were just perfect. I sound like I'm just talking up Dream here. Aleister was, of course, perfect in every way, shape, or form. But this really was Velveteen Dream's breakout performance.
Yeah, and that's why most of it's going to be us talking about Velveteen Dream, because everybody already knows Aleister. Aleister's already made a name for himself in the short time he's been in NXT. He hasn't been there long. I mean, he's been there a decent time, but it hasn't been long. But yeah, just like you said, this was his breakout moment.
Absolutely.
He'd already solidified himself with me, but I think that's going to really put him over with everybody else, the rest of the crowd.
Yeah. Honestly, before I even really got to see his in-ring work with Aleister, I was already a Velveteen Dream fan. Mm-hmm. But after this match, I mean, the guy has it all. He can wrestle great. He has the mic work, and just the in-ring psychology of these two was just through the roof. I mean, there were multiple times when you and I were watching this together that I literally jumped up during this match because it just got me so into it.
Yeah.
he really did great, and then he hit that beautiful roll the dice DDT that we haven't gotten to see out of him yet. That might be the coolest DDT I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was fucking fantastic. It got a nice pop out of me once it happened.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this feud really has reminded me why I watch wrestling still to this day. Like it's everything about it is why I love wrestling.
Yep. And this is not, and that's the great thing about this match and this feud. It's not a complicated match. It's not a complicated feud. It's just two guys who just don't like each other.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it, we did get Alistair taking the microphone and saying Velveteen Dream's name, which really, even though Alistair got the pin, to me that gives Velveteen a W, and really we got some good for once. We got almost good 50-50 booking here, where both of these guys came out so much stronger than they were before.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Alistair may have won the match, but I think Dream came out in a better position than Alistair did.
I agree. I definitely agree. Although I was thinking about this earlier, I do think Alistair's title contention might have changed after our title match. We'll get to that in a minute. Moving into the women's fatal 4-way, which is the following match. It was a good match. It was not, in my opinion, one of the better women's matches we've seen out of NXT. Nothing particularly wrong with it. It was only about 10 to 11-ish minutes. And it was, a women's fatal 4-way. It was good. The end saw basically everybody just hitting her finisher on Nikki Cross so she could take the pin. It started off with Peyton Royce hitting her fisherman's suplex, which Kairi Sane came in and broke up the fisherman's suplex. But I thought this last night, and I went back and I was watching a GIF of it again this morning. I swear to God, Kairi Sane did not break that pin up.
No, and I noticed that too while we were watching. She was she was way late. Should have been a 3 count.
And the ref, I don't think realized how late she was, because that ref hit 3.
Yeah.
And you see him do it and kind of stop, and like he knows, oh crap, that wasn't supposed to happen. But so Peyton Royce hits Nikki Cross with the fisherman's suplex. We then get, I believe it was Kairi Sane hitting Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce with her beautiful flying elbow. And then we had Ember Moon coming in and hitting both Peyton Royce and Nikki Cross with a double eclipse. And Ember Moon gets the pin onto Nikki Cross to become the new women's champion. Honestly, out of every person who could have won this match, this was probably the one that I wanted the least.
Agreed. I don't know, man. The match itself, I wasn't really too impressed with. It just felt like it was Ember and Kairi had to be included in everything. It seemed.
Yeah.
And even with Ember and Kairi being included in everything, it didn't even really feel like Kairi did too much in the match.
No, Kairi felt like she would come in, hit a move, and then she was gone again for another 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's how it felt for me.
Yeah, and I was pretty hype on Ember Moon for a while when it seemed like she might be the one to dethrone Asuka. But after Asuka beating her pretty decisively for 3 times, having Asuka come out there and give her the title almost felt demeaning.
It was really weird. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, I not my favorite direction for the NXT women. Into the co-main event, it was Andrade Cien Almas versus Drew McIntyre for the NXT Championship in what it was honestly a really, really, really good match on an already stacked card. These guys put on a hell of a show. Zelina Vega did her thing wonderfully per usual. Shock winning with Andrade Cien Almas defeating Drew McIntyre with a top rope DDT. Now, and I don't know that if you've seen this yet, but it has now come out today that during that top rope DDT, Drew did not let go of that rope quick enough and has now possibly torn his bicep and will be out for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I didn't know if you had seen it or not because I saw it after you had already gotten off to do other things. Yeah. But once you got off, I was starting to browse Reddit, and the other forums. I did see something about that, but I haven't seen anything officially.
Well, I believe that I saw a quote from Drew McIntyre this morning of him, and he said that, and he explained what happened, and then kind of did his whole, we win some, we lose some, and they asked how he was feeling, and he said, "Well, I've felt some pain like this before, and it's never good."
Would that be
So
was it on Twitter or was it a WWE interview?
I actually just saw it on Facebook. I'm not sure. It was a picture of him backstage talking to some people, and then the quote from the interview itself.
I'm checking his Twitter right now.
But hopefully we can get a quick recovery. The good thing that I see coming out of this is there is no reason for Aleister Black not to go on and win the title in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There is the path is clearly open for him. We've got a good heel set up for him. Not that I want Andrade just to get sacrificed to Aleister Black, but I definitely want Andrade to get sacrificed to Aleister.
Yeah, that's it feels better than having Drew beat Andrade, with Andrade having this much with as much as he's got going on. He has so much momentum.
Yeah. Yep.
And then having Drew beat Andrade at this point with how hot Andrade is, I don't think would be a good move.
No, I agree. So going into the final match of the evening, the signature War Games match.
Jesus.
This was one of my it's not one of the best matches I've ever seen, but it might be one of my favorite matches I've ever watched.
Yeah.
It was great. They did a great job with making it feel like once that cage door closed, it was a whole new match. When you had Killian Dane coming in there and start throwing the weapons in and then eating the key, you might as well have hit the ring bell again. It was time for a whole new world to open up.
Yeah.
Everyone. The theme of this card kind of seemed to be that no matter who won and lost, everyone kind of looked good. And the same thing came out of the War Games match. Everyone came out of this smelling like a rose and looking fantastic. Alexander Wolf hit kind of the first big, huge spot of the evening with a massive top rope German suplex onto one of the Authors of Pain through a table, completely busts himself open, bleeding profusely. We got color from Alexander Wolf and Eric Young, which was pretty, for me at least, it definitely adds a little bit of something, especially when it's a match like War Games.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw someone say, it may have been on Reddit, may have been on Twitter or something, that War Games without blood is like Christmas without gifts. And that's the best way to put it. Like, it really is.
Yeah, no, and they, I think it'll be a while before we get a real blade job in the WWE again, but this was definitely the right amount of color for it. And it was very natural, and it worked well for the match.
Yeah, props to Alexander Wolf for almost fucking dying.
Oh my god, dude, that guy, even though he is probably the most underappreciated member of Sanity, is by and far one of the stars of that group. And the way those three work together, they do so good that it doesn't feel like a stable where you have one guy who's kind of the bottom tier of them. You really feel like Alexander Wolf, Killian Dane, and Eric Young, they each bring something unique and special to the Sanity brand that Sanity needs.
Yeah. I mean, Eric is the obvious leader. That's been visible since the start of the faction, but Killian and Alexander Wolf are on the same tier.
And to talk a little bit more about Killian, that guy was by and far the MVP of the match. He went above and beyond, hitting a Van Daminator across the ring, going flying in between the two rings at least once, just throwing people left and right. If we can get an Atlas title in the WWE now and just put Killian Dane and the Authors of Pain as the three competing for it every week, I'd be fine with it. Those three guys are big men who can move. We got the top of the spot cage with Roderick Strong hitting a massive top of the cage superplex. I expected a superplex where like one of them still had their feet kind of in the corner of the cage. They weren't all the way up there. No, they were both at the very top of this cage, came crashing down to the pile of people below who frankly had really spread out kind of far
Yeah.
and really made this spot just. It seemed like everyone came out of it fine and unscathed. But man, and you said the same thing when they were up there. I was on the edge of my seat, clenched up,
Yeah,
waiting for this to happen.
Bad. It was bad. My heart
Uh,
dropped as soon as they left the top of the cage. I was like, "There's no fucking way that they're actually doing this."
Yep. And then the finish of the match came whenever Adam Cole hit his running knee to Eric Young after a kendo kendo stick shot and a running knee with a chair to the face. Great match. Adam Cole is the legitimate heel in NXT now. That much is obvious.
Yeah.
Great pay-per-view.
Something
Really enjoyed it.
There was a little something at the end of the match. I don't know if you caught on to it, and I didn't either until I got on Reddit and saw it. At the end of the match, the Undisputed Era was trying to leave the cage, and they couldn't get out. And I was like, why don't they just walk out of the cage? Because Kyle O'Reilly pulls a chair up and just sits down. I was like, why don't you guys just leave the cage? I forgot Killian Dane swallowed the fucking key.
Yeah.
So they legit couldn't get out of the cage. I thought that was hilarious.
If that tells you how insane this match was, that the real beginning of it was Killian Dane swallowing a key, and we forgot about that.
Yeah,
because there was so much other stuff that happened. Yeah, it was a great match. I admittedly have only seen one other War Games, which I watched immediately after this one with you.
Yep.
And while it was good, I don't think I'm the only person who's saying this. This was the greatest War Games match ever.
No, you're definitely not the only one saying that. I still stand by my opinion that War Games 92 is the best War Games. But that's not. I'm not taking anything away from tonight's.
No, and I could definitely see that just because this was not the classic War Games style match. This was not guys just brutally beating the hell out of each other. This was what happens when you get a bunch of indie darlings and you put them into a War Games match. And it was great. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And I want to retract my my statement from the beginning of the match where I said I didn't like the fact that they didn't have roofs on the cages. Completely retract that statement now. It deserved to not have a roof.
Oh yeah. I saw more than one person on Reddit saying that. They're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I even complained about that."
Yeah.
They didn't have the roof. That was awesome. We want to move into the Survivor Series preview now.
All right. So first up, we've got the pre-show, which is for the Cruiserweight Championship. We've got the champion Enzo Amore versus the challenger Kalisto. Who do you have and why?
Enzo's going to win because WWE hates cruiserweights and hates everyone else. So, yeah, Enzo will win with the Jaw Denzo. Probably will be. I'm sure it'll be another classic match of Kalisto getting a solid 7 minutes of offense and then Enzo pulling some kind of bullshit before he gets a semi-clean win with the Jaw Denzo.
Okay, I'm gonna take the opposite. I'm gonna take Kalisto.
Really?
Yeah, he's just been booked. Well, he just lost to Enzo. What was it, a week or this past Monday?
Yes.
So he's been booked kind of weak. I think it'll go down as Enzo tries to pull off some shenanigans, and Kalisto finds a way out of it, hits the Salida del Sol, and that's the 1, 2, 3, and that's it. New champion Kalisto, and the only championship match of the night. And then the only match that's not Raw versus SmackDown.
Yeah, you might be right, and I would be very happy if that happened. I am sick of Enzo.
That is how I see that going down. To my knowledge, that's the only match on the pre-show.
Which it is good. I'm glad they're not putting any of these SmackDown versus Raw matches on the pre-show.
I agree. They shouldn't be on there. Moving on to the main card, and like I said this past Monday, WWE doesn't like to give us the order of these cards, so I've just kind of put it in order as I've written it down. This past Monday, I put it in the order I thought it would be in, but I just gave up. I'm tired. So the first match I have up is the Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss versus the new SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Who do you have and why?
I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss here,
Okay.
just because I feel like this is a match that we've been kind of waiting for a while now. I think they've been waiting for Charlotte to complete the Grand Slam before they really pushed it into full gear. Uh, but I see this being a dream match. Not only is it a dream match, I see this being something that could transform into a little bit more of a long-term feud. And I would like to see another blow-off between these two. So I'm gonna go with Alexa Bliss in maybe not the cleanest finish.
Okay. I'm gonna take the opposite again. I'm gonna go with Charlotte. She's the new champion. Like she's the new champion. WWE obviously wants to solidify her as the top woman in the company, and what better way to do it than to have her go over the other top woman in the company? I don't know. Everything just matches up well for a Charlotte win. She just won in her hometown, which is unheard of.
Yeah, yeah. And the cool thing about this card is that I don't feel like any of these matches are just outwardly obvious who's going to win.
No, not at all.
And we don't get that out of the WWE cards a whole lot.
No, never actually. There's never a time where, well, I mean, there are occasions, but there's always these little like things in my head where I'm like, yeah, this is probably how it's going to go, but you never know.
But this pay-per-view, I really don't have much indication other than just my guess.
No,
but
I have no clue. So that puts you at having Raw up 1-0, and I have SmackDown up 1-0.
Yep.
Moving on, we have the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus the United States Champion, Baron Corbin. Who do you have and why?
Baron Corbin. The guy had a kind of a rough feud with Sin Cara, if you want to even call it that, where he took a big win over what he needs. And The Miz is just the kind of guy that it doesn't matter how many times he loses. He can hold that IC title and still just go around and piss everyone off, and everyone's going to love that he's IC champion. So no, I see Baron Corbin with a nice end of days.
Yeah, I'm going the same way, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously because I made my decision unbiased on how both guys have been booked and how both titles have been booked. And like you said, Baron's had a rough patch with Sin Cara, of all people. Yeah, he's had a rough patch as of recent. I mean, outside of that,
just the whole
poor guy lost the Money in the Bank. Yeah, poor guy lost the Money in the Bank. Lost
between
to
that
Cena.
whole thing, he could use just a good title versus title champion win.
Yeah, and Miz doesn't need to win. There's just no reason for Miz to need to take the win. He could lose every match from now until WrestleMania, and he's already built the IC title up so much that it's not really going to matter. The US I'm looking at this in a sense of who needs the win more to solidify their character, and which title needs to be solidified more. And both of those go to Baron in the US title.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
So I have SmackDown up 2-0. You have Raw and SmackDown tied at 1. And that's when we'll move on to Raw's Shield versus SmackDown's New Day. Who do you have and why?
The Shield. They didn't get to do their initial reunion at TLC. They're going to let these guys go out there and have a pretty good win. I think this could end up being match of the night. All 6 of those guys are just excellent in-ring performers.
Yeah.
But I do see the Shield coming out with the win, and I have a feeling it'll go down in older New Day fashion, where we'll have Xavier Woods take the pinfall just because he can.
Yep. I'm conflicted on this, and I thought I had my mind made up when we started, but I'm still back and forth on it. But I got to go Shield as well. They had their reunion spoiled at TLC, so this is their first actual legitimate match since the reunion. New Day can build themselves back up after this. This isn't that big of a loss to take for New Day.
Yep.
See, I'm going Shield with this one.
Yep.
Which puts us both at, well, you have Raw up 2-1 over SmackDown, and I have SmackDown up 2-1 over Raw.
Okay.
That takes us to the other tag match, Raw's The Bar versus SmackDown's Usos. Who do you have and why?
This is one of the ones that I really could not come to an answer that I liked myself.
I agree.
I'm gonna just go with the Usos, and that's literally just because my gut is saying that I think the Usos are gonna win. The Usos I think are probably the best, if we're talking in ring and everything else, the best tag team in the WWE right now. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And the ball, just like the Miz, the Bar doesn't need that win. They just got the titles back, which is great for them, and I'm glad that Cesaro still has some gold on him. But yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna have to go with the Usos.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Usos as well. I don't know, man. It just feels like the Usos are. It feels weird saying this, but they're the better team compared to the Bar.
Yeah,
If they're actually going to use continuity in these matches, the Usos have been a team much longer than the Bar has. It just makes sense. It just makes sense in my mind.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised for WWE to pull some day one ish and have Cesaro win, but I think it'll be the Usos.
Yeah. That puts you at Raw and SmackDown, Todd, and I have SmackDown up 3-1 with the blowout. That takes us
sweep.
Yeah, it takes us to the women's elimination match. Team Raw, Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley versus Team SmackDown, Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Tamina, and Natalya, who they kind of ruined the surprise there by announcing it on Twitter in typical WWE fashion. But either way,
Sam really has a problem with WWE announcing stuff on Twitter.
It's the fucking worst. Why would I waste my time watching your programming when I can just follow your Twitter feed? But anyway, who do you have in that match and why?
Team Raw, one reason and one reason only, nobody is ready for Asuka. She is going to be the sole survivor. I would put money on it. This match is going to just be a showcase to show how dominant Asuka is.
Yeah.
Because they haven't done it so far on the main roster. Her 2 matches with Emma didn't really give us anything, and since then she's been squashing jobbers. If they want people to really take Asuka seriously like we did in NXT, this is their time to do it. So I'm going to go with Team Raw, and I'm going to say Asuka will come out as the sole survivor.
I'm just going to say same and move on because it's the exact same way I had put it. So you have Raw up 3-2, and I have SmackDown up 3-2 as we go into maybe my most anticipated match of the night. I really want to see where they go with Baron and The Miz. But Brock versus AJ. World champion versus world champion. Who do you have and why?
Brock versus AJ, I think could be a excellent match. If WWE just gives these guys 15 minutes to go out there and just go crazy, we can end up with an excellent match. Stylistically, this is going to be great. And I'd love to see AJ pull the David Goliath out and win. I don't see it happening. Purely because Jinder still has his title rematch on Tuesday. I think they'll use that for a little bit of WWE fuckery, and we'll end up having Jinder come out there and cost AJ the match with Brock beating AJ.
Yeah, I have Brock beating AJ as well, but it's different reasoning. I just don't think they're gonna waste Brock's loss on a SmackDown superstar. Not saying AJ's a waste or he's a bad loss, but I don't think they want to have Brock lose until he loses to Roman at WrestleMania. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And if you're trying to solidify that Brock really is the most dominant monster in the company before Roman beats him, then a win over AJ would definitely do that.
Yeah. So with that being said, you already have Raw winning. They're up 4-2. So Raw's already taken the W for you, and I have both of them tied, coincidentally. I did not do that on purpose.
That's actually perfect.
But what I'm predicting will be the main event. I think everybody's going to think this is going to be the main event. The traditional Survivor Series match, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Team Raw, Kurt Angle, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Triple H. Versus Team SmackDown Live, Shane McMahon, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, John Cena, and Randall Keith Orton. Who do you have and why?
This is a like kid's fever dream on WWE 2K18 for one. This match went from being a match that I had zero interest in and was just going to casually throw away to being. I've never been this excited for a Survivor Series match
No,
ever.
not in my knowledge. Not in recent memory. No.
No. But yeah, this is. I think this is going to be a great match. I'm going to be honest. Before we got on here, I still had not made my prediction for this. I just could not glue down how I thought this was going to flesh out.
I've had mine boiling for the past 3 days, so I'm ready to lock and load and unleash my fantasy booking nightmare.
What I see, so I think there's two things that are definitely going to happen here. Kurt and Triple H are going to implode, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to try to cost SmackDown the match. I think the big thing is which one of those two ends up winning out. And for the sake of Survivor Series, I think that we're going to see SmackDown take the win. Raw has got a just stacked, awesome team. And for that reason alone, that kind of leads me to believe that SmackDown's going to pull something out. And we might even, if they're smart, they use this as an opportunity to maybe make someone like Bobby Roode or Shinsuke a real threat, show them out a good amount in the match. But yeah, I'm going to say Team SmackDown takes the win.
All right, I'm going opposite, of course, as is tradition. Raw will
As
win
is tradition.
via shenanigans. It'll come down to, and this is going to sound very strange, but it'll come down to 1v3 with Triple H being the lone survivor on Team Raw.
Okay.
I'm losing my mind here. Triple H is going to attack Kurt during the match after Braun and Finn Joe and Finn have already been eliminated because of their, dissension in the ranks thing they got going on.
I'm assuming those two are going to get into it as well.
Yeah, but Triple H will hit Kurt with a pedigree at some point, and he'll be eliminated. Braun will somehow get eliminated. Probably Kane coming out and wrecking his world. It'll come down to Triple H and insert whatever 3 SmackDown survivors you want. Doesn't really matter in this case. It'll come down to, it looks like SmackDown's just gonna take over Triple H, and then here comes Sami and Kevin. Kevin's got his nice little smile going on. Sami's got his feet behind his ears, walking down the ramp. They'll take out the other 3 on SmackDown. Triple H will take the pin. They'll jump over to Raw tomorrow night. They've had the whole thing with Shane. Shane's bad, doesn't give us opportunities, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's how I see it going down. We both have Raw winning 4-3.
Yeah, I think regardless, Raw's probably going to take it. I feel like, and this might be wrong, and this might just be me thinking in my own head, I feel like Raw typically almost always wins Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Whenever they do it like this, which I do kind of wish that SmackDown could get a little bit more of that legitimacy in them. But it's Survivor Series. It's 1 month a year, so it doesn't really matter. It's like the All-Star game.
Well, they won last year, but it was off such a strange win.
Yeah, well, last year they also said there was a stipulation where the winning team would get to take 3 people from the opposite brand, and then they just dropped that and never talked about it again. Yeah. Which that pissed me off because I thought that was when Sami Zayn was going to jump over. But
I feel there needs to be some sort of stipulation at these brand warfare kind of things,
even
the
if they just did,
the winner of the pay-per-view gets the main event in WrestleMania. If Raw wins, they get the main event in WrestleMania, or SmackDown wins, they do.
Oh, I like that a lot, actually. I wish they would do. I love that.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't matter even then it doesn't matter who the Royal Rumble winner is. Because if the Royal Rumble winner is from the winning brand, then he main events, and if not, then that's why.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that'll give some extra incentive for if we get a random Rumble winner like we got Randy this past year. It'll give them incentive to not put that in the main event if it's not a big
yeah,
enough match. Which, looking back on it now, Bray versus Randy was not a big enough match to the main event WrestleMania. But
not
you
at all.
know,
But whatever.
but yeah, that's all we got.
But yeah, I think it'll be a great pay-per-view. I really do. We talked about this last night. I think that because there really isn't too much legitimately on the line, it's going to be kind of hard for WWE to screw it up.
Yeah.
They can just kind of go out there, let these guys have matches, and the way they've built it up, I think fans are going to be happy.
Yep. They're gonna have to work really hard to make this suck.
Yep. Which we do know that they're good at that. So
they're really good at that. They're gonna have to work real hard to top Takeover though too. So.
Oh, yeah, that was.
It's not like they have it too easy.
No, they're definitely going to have to show out here in the next tonight. But good talking to you, Sam, and good doing a recap and a little preview for Survivor Series.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'll get in touch with you tonight. We'll watch some Survivor Series, talk about it, get the Raw recap show recorded tomorrow after Raw. We won't be live tomorrow. Just want to go ahead and throw that out there. That was just a special thing for the first episode. Thought I'd do something nice.
Yeah, from about here on out, we're probably just going to be recording and posting. But we are discussing some potential more live options in the future.
Yep, and we'll be sure to get Blue on here at some point when we Alex and I decide to start being adults and not staying up all night watching Netflix documentaries and whatnot. So props to Blue for being an adult
and keeping his life together while me and you are getting up at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday to record a pro wrestling podcast.
Yeah, I've been up for almost 24 hours and I got to go to work tonight. So
that's just gross.
It's gonna be real fun. But speaking of real fun, this has been real fun.
Yes, sir. Good talking to you, and looking forward to talking to you later.
Absolutely. #BenGay, get it trending. Thank you a lot, guys.
Hey, take it easy. Bye, y'all.